Hello, I'm Dr. Lindda C, Associate Professor of Radiology from Johns Hopkins University. In this session about academic versus private practice, I will provide the perspective from an academic body imager. I received research grant support from Lustgarten Foundation and Emerson Collective. In this brief presentation, I'll talk about some of the factors that you should consider while making a career choice. And then I will talk about what my life is like as an academic radiologist and why I think it's the best career choice. When you make a career choice, I think only you can answer that for yourself, is that you have to look inside and ask yourself some questions about what do you value? What are you passionate about? What are your career goals? Do you want to be an excellent clinician, a leading researcher, or educator, or a division chief, section chief chairman at some academic place, or a hotshot in private practice? Are you a night owl who prefers the evening or the overnight shifts? Do you want to read from home in your pajamas in teleradiology? The world is really your oyster, and only you can figure out what are the things that you want out of your career. And when you think about all of these things, your value, your passion, your goals, it will boil down to what ultimately makes you happy. And happiness is important because it contributes to the longevity of your career. I'm sure most of you have heard the saying, if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. I think a more accurate description is this statement: do what you love and you'll work super hard all the time with no separation of any boundaries, and also take everything extremely personally. And I can attest to that I take my job very seriously and I take everything extremely personally, maybe too much so. So that's why it's important to pick something that you really love. And the truth is, radiology has been under threat from a number of fronts. Even before COVID, there's the ever increasing volumes, the decreasing reimbursement, so that you feel like you need to read more studies per day just to get the same reimbursement. And also with COVID, it certainly doesn't help with that feeling of social isolation. You're not really interacting with your colleagues the way you used to. And just the other stresses outside of work, like how do you deal with work and your home life when COVID has turned everything upside down? In the 2021 Physician Burnout and Suicide Report by Medscape, they titled it Death by a Thousand Cuts. And I think it reflects how our specialty has been under threat in various ways. And in this study, they found that 36% of radiologists report that they feel burnt out. And that's why I think it's critically important to choose a career that makes you happy, and that may protect you against some of these stressors and protect you from getting burnt out. Now we'll switch gears and talk about my life as an academic radiologist, which I think is the best choice. So for most of us, clinical duties is by far our primary hat that we wear. But we also take on a few other roles, for me, including research, teaching, and I have a number of administrative duties. For my clinical day as a body imager, I attend on CT, MRI, ultrasound, and biopsy service. I'm usually paired with residents and fellows on clinical service, and we get to see daily awesome cases at a tertiary care center. Every day, I would save a number of cases into our teaching file, be it a very classic or beautiful illustration of a classic pathology, or it may be cases that I am not sure what the diagnosis is, and I get to keep it in the file for follow-up. All those things are important so that I keep learning every day as I go along. And I also get to benefit from the expertise of my colleagues with different domain expertise. I get to call them up or text them to share cases with them, and so they can provide me their expert interpretation of a given case. So every day I feel like I'm learning something new, and I like that I can collaborate with my colleagues in that way. And I also get to collaborate with other clinicians on tumor boards and multidisciplinary conferences where we can go over all the imaging findings and I can see firsthand how we are so impactful at guiding patient management. I also get to teach in different learners at different levels, including medical students, residents, and fellows, through different venues like didactic lectures, case-based review. The thing I love the most is the one-on-one learning experience at the workstation. So I get to see firsthand from when they first start and they don't know anything to by the time they leave the program, they are experts at diagnostic radiology. And also we can go through the nuances of the cases. When I collect cases for didactic lectures or case-based review, I usually pick fairly classic examples so you can illustrate what it looks like. But a lot of the real learning happens at the workstation when cases don't always read the book. And how do you figure out the subtleties of the diagnosis? How do you pick certain features and then how do you order your differential diagnosis? I think that's the fine art of diagnostic radiology that I really appreciate that one-on-one learning experience. And I'm also heavily involved in curriculum development. I'm in charge of the body CT curriculum, and we're constantly updating it to fulfill our learners' needs. And I also love traveling and giving CME courses. And this was pre-COVID, me teaching Mickey a thing or two about body CT. And hopefully we can start traveling again. My main passion for staying in academics is because I get to do cutting edge research. I get to work with other clinicians and basic scientists to work on radiomics and deep learning of the pancreas. This is us using the AI algorithm to automatically detect the pancreatic tumor, which is labeled in red with the background pancreas in blue and the pancreatic duct in green. So we are constantly pushing the field forward, and that's very exciting. In academic radiology, there is no set path. It's like a choose your own adventure novel that some people are excellent clinicians and that's what they focus on. Other people like myself, we are really into research, other people into teaching. And we are also constantly growing. With this whole COVID, I kind of enjoy this giving lectures virtually business. So now I started doing podcasts for radiology. Who knew? But it's just new opportunities arise and you jump on and you learn a new skill and you're constantly evolving. So that's another exciting part of academic radiology that I really love. The other thing I should talk about though is the work-life balance. There's a whole another world outside of work. And you need to choose a career that allows you to fulfill your work obligations and also your obligations outside of work. For me, my second job, and arguably my more important job, is that I'm a working mom with 2 kids. So these are my kids, Sam and Grace, when they were younger. But time flies, and little man recently turned 7, and Grace is 3. And he loves Mario, so we had a Mario-themed party for him. That for me, picking a career that allows me to do well at work and also spend quality time with my family is critically important. I would say the main trade-off between academic and private practice boils down to money. In private practice, you get this big bag of money. In academics, we get paid a small bag of money, but it's more than enough for my needs. What I get back is time and the flexibility to do what I love, be it spending time on doing my research or teaching. And also on my non-clinical days, I have a little bit more flexibility in my schedule so that I can participate with my kids' activities. Of course, sometimes I have to pay it back on the weekends when it's like meeting deadline, abstract, papers, but I get to manage my own schedule a little bit more so that I can do what is important in my life. The take-home message is that when you choose a career, you need to think about your values and your priorities in life. And only you can answer the question of what's the best career for you. And ultimately, choose a career that makes you happy so that you won't feel burnt out when stresses inevitably come. And then for myself, I think academics, it's the best career choice ever. It's been very fulfilling, and I hope that you will consider an academic career as well. Thank you and good luck.